Welcome, Mr. Kraemer. I'm going to go ahead and, be the host of today's Q&A session.
Oh, okay. Let's do this.
You said to surprise you.
Oh, I did. I said you pick the questions and just ask.
Yep.
Surprise me. Oh, what is going on?
So we asked y'all for some questions of things that you would like to know about, or video ideas or topics or suggestions. So I thought today we would I just picked 5 questions. I think they're pretty simple, but they're kind of update questions. So it's things that we've either talked about or shared in the past. We probably didn't follow up the best with them. And so this will be kind of an update. So at least this is how I kind of categorized them. We got over, I think, 35 or 40 questions total. And so I'm trying to kind of put them into where they make sense, and that's how we'll do the vlogs. So I'm going to start back with I'm going to go from oldest to newest.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you had talked about planting fruit trees, and you discussed that before. Is that still in the works?
Well, the concept and the idea and the desire and the want and the planning on, yes. In the works, no.
No.
Well, I guess it kind of is in the works because we're clearing areas to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But the only fruit trees that we can plant at this point are the blueberry bushes. I guess technically it's not a tree, but in the same
fruit.
Yeah, it's fruit.
Yeah, we probably will get our berries going first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Is what my thought, because we don't have to clear as much land, and they actually can do better with the types of existing trees that we have. But I think the orchard and the food forest that we want to do.
Oh yeah, that's a ways off.
Yeah, we have to clear a lot of the pine and the cedar out in order to do that. And that requires us to either hire and help or rent something.
Or do it manually and take 2 days or a day to get 2 trees down. We know this from experience from today, but we won't talk about that.
You just want to have another update that you leave them hanging on. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, they can see that video for them is probably tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the next one, anything else you want to add on the forest? Or the trees or the fruit or anything like that?
No, I mean, no, not really. There are some already established fruit trees. Like we have persimmon trees, which we haven't been able to harvest anything from them. Actually, I think it's the only. Do we have any other fruit?
No. We have one mulberry way back by the creek, but again, it's so tall, we can't really get to it easily because it's on a very steep slope also. It's on the path that we typically take down to the creek. We have nut trees. We have black walnut, and we have chestnut.
Chinese chestnut.
So we know we for sure have those.
Oak.
So. And I think we have a few sugar maples, to tap maple, but that's all we have right now.
That we know of.
That we know of.
Yeah.
I'm sure as we start to clear out, and we'll start to identify more trees and keep the ones that we want and get rid of the dead ones and the ones that are covered in vines. But yeah, we still want fruit trees. We still want a food forest. It's just
not there yet. Is it on the list of questions about the neighbors and the music?
It is.
I don't know if you guys can hear the music in the background. I hope not, because
that's different neighbors.
That's a different neighbor. Anyway, let's continue on.
Yep. How is the basement after all the drainage work?
Great.
Well, if you're going to answer them this quick, we're going to have to add more questions.
I'm going to answer a little bit more in depth than just great. So the French drain system works beautifully. It really does work quite well. I think it needs to be a little bit, I think I need to extend it out a little bit more, or do a little diversion of water uphill.
I think
So up beyond our trailer, to the south side of our trailer, we get a pretty big runoff during really heavy rains. There's some weird sounds going on.
It's the chickens trying to roost.
There we go. And that tends to then come down the driveway and then come down right behind where we're sitting. It's just a river. And if we can keep it from flowing down from the hill up there down to here, it'd be fine. But as far as anything going towards the house, the French drain does catch it and it puts it out behind the house. And the basement and the crawl space stay dry. It's great. It really is. It works really, really well. There is one spot where the main water line for the house comes in that gets a little wet. And I think it's because that tree that's right behind us right there, not this one right here, but the, what is that, the flowering?
They're both magnolias.
Okay, so this one, this closest one to us, whatever it is.
I think it's a tulip magnolia.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, the tulip magnolia. I think
has to go.
It does have to go. Yes. I think it's following some of its roots down, but it's minor and it dries out rather quickly. But it is dry down there. It doesn't smell of mold at all. The wood is now dry and starting to, not do the sagging and stuff. So it'll be a good time for us to start getting the floors leveled is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, there you go. Is that better?
Level.
It's on the level. Is that better than great?
That's better than great. Everything's great. All right. Are the noisy neighbors still playing their music too loud?
No. So let's expand on this story because it was quite the hubbaloo. It was quite the thing at the time that it happened.
Yeah.
So the story is 2 houses down from us. They had some new people move onto their property. And when they were moving on into the property, it was a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. They were basically doing it over the weekend. And Friday about noon, they started playing their music really loud. And it's to the point like you could feel the bass. It was
inside our trailer.
Inside of our trailer. It was really, really, really loud. Now, part of that is we are kind of in a bowl and it does echo, but even the neighbors up on top of the hills around us, they were texting saying, hey, you guys, you guys having a party and didn't invite us? And no, it's not us.
Nope.
So people playing music loud for a while, that's fine. Like, that's their right. Yeah. You should be able to enjoy your space. The issue came when it was 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and they're still playing that
at that same volume.
And now, granted, it was a nice mix of different music. It wasn't like all just rap or all just whatever. It was a good mix, but after, say, 11 or 12 o'clock when you're trying to go to sleep and it's still blasting loud and you can still feel the bass.
And after 12 hours of it?
Yes. No, it was 24 hours. They did not stop until 5 o'clock Saturday.
That's more than 24 hours.
It was 5 o'clock Saturday, or 5 o'clock Friday until 5 o'clock.
5.
No, it was noon.
Yeah, to 5.
Yeah, it was more than 24 hours. So it wasn't just the fact that they were playing their music loud. It was 24 hours nonstop, really, really loud. There was other commotion that was going on too, that if it wasn't mixed with the fact that there was that music for that long, it wouldn't have been a big deal necessarily, but it was just all kind of accumulated. So
yeah, you could tell there was other things at play because there was yelling and other things.
Yeah,
so.
there it was more than just the music playing. Now, we are out in the country, people have barking dogs, you just have noises. And you come to expect that, but to that extent, that was the issue. And all of the neighbors around us, we all know each other. We all respect each other's privacy and quietness and all that kind of stuff. It just didn't fit in this neighborhood. The good news is that it's no longer an issue. They moved in. They kind of got settled in. Every once in a while, they'll play their music, and that's fine. And it's at reasonable levels, just like we do, just like the neighbors do.
Yep.
It's just a thing. It's no problem, and it's been settled. Yeah. So it's all good.
Yeah, I think it was just a little too much party in the first night.
Yes, it was quite the party.
It was just quite the introduction. It was like, oh, made everyone nervous.
Yes.
What we would expect all the time. But they've been very polite, and they're working on the property, and it's been great.
Yeah. So I'm not saying anything negative about them.
Nope.
It was just a situation, and it's been cleared up, and all good.
I guess this one actually went back the furthest, and this one's kind of for me. Treasure Tuesdays. We had quite a few people ask about Treasure Tuesdays. Not really asking a lot about Treasure Tuesdays, just mentioning them. So I think...
like a Treasure Tuesday question mark?
Literally. Tuesday Treasures, question mark. But we got a couple around that. So we did Treasure Tuesdays for a while. The intent was not to completely get rid of them, but to limit the frequency that we did them, because it was really hard for us to do one every single Tuesday. And, you know, what would be interesting, I guess, because a lot of the times we were surprised as well as you when we'd go in there, like the back of the carport, for example. I thought that would be a lot cooler than it was, and it was just a bunch of garbage. And which, you know, it happens. It was a trash Tuesday, not a Treasure Tuesday. But
hey, you got a colander out of it.
I did. I got a few things out of it, actually. I saved a few things.
Some suitcases.
Yeah, no. Those I couldn't get the smell out. Those were awful. So it's just more of we were doing them because it was something quick and easy we could film. But then it was like we didn't have time to go through it and actually do anything with those items or to clean up that area, because then obviously that would add time to it. And we were trying to find a topic that would maybe be enjoyable for our viewers, that would be interesting for us, and then I'd kind of know, oh, hey, remember you're looking for this? Oh, that's here, you know, and then we'd remember where things were. But it kind of became like, if I had to clean it as I was doing the treasure hunt, it really was a lot more to it, and then it created a lot more editing for the video. Anyway, so that's why we kind of paused on them. They did not go away completely. We do have plans once we start exploring other areas. It may not be, you know, we may do some metal detecting in through the woods, down by the creek, by the old buildings, by the barns, things like that. We may, it may be a treasure hunt as we start just clearing areas and trees and seeing what we find. So they might be a little different, but I do think we'd like to bring them back.
I think there's also some of the aspect that we did already explore all of the buildings.
Yeah.
So, you know, the house is no longer a treasure that you can explore. It's been cleaned.
Yeah.
We cleaned the carport. It's a mess now, but we cleaned it, like the back of it. We went through all the barns. We did 2 videos, separate ones. They weren't really Treasure Tuesday titled, but they were, you know, the 70s house and the 70s machine shed. So we kind of did that. So, and plus, part of it for me was the fact that back then, when our views were a little bit higher than they are now, the Treasure Tuesdays weren't getting that great of views either. And so there was kind of, for me, there was kind of that, where there's a lot of effort put into it and not the views, even though it was fun to do. So it's a combination of things.
Yeah, and I think that when we decide to ever try and attempt to tackle that nightmare that is the 1970s house, I will probably do Treasure Tuesdays, and it'll be a whole bunch of them, because there's so much stuff in that house that it'll likely be cleaning, but it'll be a clean out gut session at the same time.
That sounds awful.
It does. It sounds like a hazmat suit, and any volunteers to come help? Yeah, so that's going to be a different thing, but that's kind of with the Treasure Tuesdays. And then, another question about the kind of, it was surrounding what were our plans. You know, we talked about the fruit trees and stuff, and people noticed in some of the videos that we have those little orange, it's basically an orange tie around a lot of the trees, and they just wondered, what does that mean and what are we going to do? And it means different things for different trees, because there's the ailanthus that are marked in a couple places.
Right, yeah.
And then there's the other trees.
So for for the trees, the really tight grouping of trees around the barn, really close to the barn, October of last year, so actually a year ago, at the end of fall, I cut slits into the trunk of the trees and I sprayed it with glyphosate. And I read that was supposed to kill off the tree of heaven, but it didn't. And so what I ended up doing is I marked those trees with orange tape and a date so I could remember when I sprayed them, thinking that I may not remember at some point. So that's the orange markings on that grouping of trees. But in the bigger field that we...
And also down our driveway.
Yeah, so basically any ailanthus tree that I sprayed, I did mark. We have some down the trail.
Down there,
So the ones that are in the bigger field by the pond where the chickens are now and the sheep have been for a while, those trees that I marked with orange ribbon are trees that I didn't want Matthew to cut down. So they weren't black cherry, they weren't ailanthus, they were a different species. There was one cedar, there was an elm, there was something else. There were just a couple different species of trees that could be left there, so it wasn't just a giant open field. It actually had some shade for the animals. So that's what that meant, is keep those trees, tear down the rest.
Yep. But as you can see, there's trees in that field that do not have those little orange things around it, and that's just they got missed and they didn't get pushed down.
Yeah.
So we
wasn't finished.
So we have some trees that we wanted to have come down that never got taken down. So there's a whole process with that too that we'll have to get in there and work on getting those trees removed at some point.
Yeah.
And then I think that was it on the trees. And then the last question.
You have a smirk on your face. I'm scared.
Oh, no, it's not a bad one.
Okay.
But this is 100% you.
Oh.
I was out of town.
Okay, let's do it.
What happened to the possible mountain lion sighting?
Good question.
And then, is there any trail cam footage?
Yeah, so there is not any trail cam footage. We did check all the trail cams and the Eufy security cameras and the neighbor's trail cam that we borrowed. There is no sighting of it, and other than the night after I saw it and the night of seeing it, the dogs going crazy at night, there really hasn't been anything. And so either it's doing a really good job stalking us or it's left. I mean, it's the fact that it saw me, the dogs were there, it's so there's really been nothing from it, and I'm very thankful for it. I do wish that I would have caught whatever it was on trail cam so I knew exactly what it was. I'm still sticking to my story that it was a mountain lion because that thing was big and it had that big long tail. But there's been nothing, which is great.
Yeah. And we've been moving the Eufy security camera. We have one mounted to our carport, but we have another one that we had mounted just to a piece of plywood that we were moving around because we first started doing it when we had the raccoon issue with the chickens. And so we've been moving the trail cam and the Eufy cam around, trying to see if there's anything that's coming down by our chickens at night, anything that's coming over by the pigs, because when I was feeding the pigs, I don't know.
It was about 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. I physically saw, and it wasn't anything big or scary. It was definitely like skunk size, possum size, but it was darker. And so I don't think it was a possum or a skunk, but that was about the size that it was. And I saw it scurry through the woods over where the pigs are, and I was feeding the pigs, and the pigs startled and looked up, but I physically saw it, so I had Nate put a trail cam over there, and we got some footage of that, but it's mostly just the pigs scratching on it and then knocking the trail cam down. So
yeah, the very first video is the pigs rubbing up against it, and you hear the sound, and all of a sudden the trail cam's looking down, and then there's a couple videos of a possum, a couple birds, a bunch of squirrels, and then the pigs walking by.
Yep.
That's it.
That's all we got.
So we couldn't see what that little black thing or that dark thing was. Yeah. So, to reiterate, we had the people that were doing the drywall They told us about a mountain lion that took their goats and a couple of their dogs, and they live 30 minutes from here. Our neighbor, Howie, said that he saw one just on one of the main roads about a mile from here on his way to work about 2 months ago. And then that gentleman that stopped by with his girlfriend on his motorcycle, if you guys remember a couple episodes ago, he was talking about how he lives on the other edge of town, and his mom's Chihuahua or something like that, or Pomeranian it got snatched by a mountain lion. So we know that they're in the area, but there hasn't been any more
Kinsley.
May, any more real issues with it, so which is good.
All right. Well, I think that's where I'm going to stop on those types of questions. We have more questions that are random homesteading questions is how I titled them, chicken-related questions, and then personal questions. So we'll kind of mix these up. We're not going to do all Q&A vlogs, but just know that we'll get to your questions. I wrote them all down that I saw in the comments, and we'll try to make it interesting and have some videos in there.
Yeah, and keep the questions coming because it's fun.
It's a good reminder because we do mention a lot of things.
Forget about it.
And then it's like we go, radio silent and don't film or post anything for 2 weeks, and then
or something.
Forget about stuff.
We forget about it. Yeah.
Life.
Yeah, life.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, we'll see you tomorrow.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks for watching.
We got chilly.
It's getting a little cold.
Yeah. I gotta get. Oh, it's already on. Cool.
Yeah, I put the heat lamp on for the chicky chick.
Did you go tell them that there was something down there? Did you warn your brothers that there was a car? Yeah.